Hey guys, Jim here. Time for another Friday night knife ramble. Just talk about whatever pops in my head. One of the things I was thinking about recently, and I had made a post on my Instagram, which, by the way, if you guys don't already follow me, please do. Instagram is such an incredible community of knife lovers. My tag out there is Jim Skelton TV. Just look for me there. You see I follow a lot of really awesome people. And I try to provide, some sort of daily content. A few pictures here and there, a few goofy, silly videos. Just try to keep up and just, participate and have fun with everybody. But there's some really cool shit out there. But anyway, I had posted, I think it was late last night, was talking about the different levels of collecting and kind of getting an idea of seeing where people's collections are and where they think they're headed and if they have a vision for their collection yet. And, I've talked about this before in the Obsessive Collecting series, and thank you guys very much, by the way, for all the hits on that, especially the first one. Oh my God, that's the most viewed video that I have, and I really appreciate that. Anyway, as we graduate to different levels, it's sometimes hard for some people to go back and appreciate the level that they've already left. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean you're a snob. That doesn't mean, anything bad. It just means that you've now gotten to a new level, and that level has introduced you to certain things that have kind of spoiled you. Really, the only production knife I have sitting here is this ZT-0801, but obviously it's been modified a hell of a lot. I've got this really beautiful Mokutai clip from Ironwood Fanatic, again, out there on Instagram. And then Will Moon did all the custom work. You guys saw the video on the rest of the knife. It was before I had that clip, where he did the custom heat-treated blade and all that stuff. But this is still, to this day, one of the best flippers that I've ever handled, ever owned, anything. And this was, what are they brand new, 180? I bought this one secondhand because I knew I was going to be modifying it, so I think I paid about 140, 150 for it. And that clip is just sex, isn't it? But even in its stock form, the day that I had received it when it was still stock, I was really in awe of how well made this knife was. I'm still not crazy about the weird pattern that was milled into it, but there's nothing you can do about it. They milled so far into it that you can't really change it or do anything about it. All you can do is refinish it and anodize it and shit like that. So, but aside from the aesthetical choices, this was just one hell of a great knife. It operates beautifully. It's got that incredible action that we've come to know and love from this particular model. But there are really not a lot of production knives that excite me anymore. It really takes something special. And as I've graduated through my collecting, and please excuse me for having a couple of knives in here that I've not done videos on yet, I just haven't had time. But as I've graduated up each level, I've become accustomed to, I don't know, maybe nicer things. And it's not about how much you spend. It's not about how exclusive that item is, or, that my knife is better than your knife in any way. It's just about appreciating the things that come along with that next level purchase. You guys know that one of my favorite knives still to this day is my Tannic. With the amazing Zircotai backspacer on it. I mean, Jeff just knocked it out of the ballpark. But if you take a knife similar to this, not with the embellishments that I have here, made by Johnny X Maker, could be anybody, just two pieces of titanium with a blade in the middle, and you're paying in that range of 700 to, I don't know, 1,000 in makers' prices. And then you buy from a dealer, you'll pay more, and then secondary market is even more. You could be paying $1,500, $1,800 for a knife that really isn't anything more complex than this. And I honestly think Jeff puts a lot more work and creativity into his knives than some of the other makers that are really hot right now. I mean, when you look at the Tannics, no two really are alike. There was a great degree of creativity when he made each one of them. So that's one of the things that I appreciate, that, you know, he's only made 2 of the Taniks in a Wharncliffe period. And the first Wharncliffe, the one before mine, is very, very different from mine. So even when he did the same blade profile, he gave me something quite a bit different in my options. And that's one of the reasons I love this knife so much. And as you work your way up, you get into something like what Dustin Turpin is doing. You guys know from my video that this is one of my standout favorites for an EDC knife. It is everything I want it to be. The action is utterly insane. 7 hours of hand rub satin on that blade. Incredible compound grind. Great action, great build. There's no, you know, discernible difference between one material and the other. There's no seam, no gap, and no jump in the material. Everything was well thought out. The relief cuts that are done in the lock bar and in the bolster. The jimping that's done on the flipper trigger or flipper tab, so it's easier to open and get it to fly out no matter how you're indexing that particular area of the knife. The custom pivot, I mean, just everything. Double milled carbon fiber. These are things that you don't find in a production knife. And honestly, if that's where you're at right now, that's not things that you miss yet. These aren't things that you've had in your hand, that you've carried, that you know that you want yet. And that's where I was. Somebody was asking me on that post last night, you know, how long I've been into custom knives. And I mean, I started my first custom knife, I was 34. And I'm 40 this year. And that was the first time I made that leap, and that was into my Brian Ty Tycoon, which I still own to this day. And once I did that, I didn't want to look back. I still bought plenty of production knives, but they didn't give me the same degree of satisfaction. Now, it also depends on what you're going to be using it for. If you're just simply using it, I mean, really, as a user, I mean, you're probably not going to spend the money that you would spend on something like this Yenzanzo. This Kato is not a cheap knife. The superconductor inlay, the incredible work that he's done, these are, you know, really expensive for a lot of people's budgets. And, you know, this is not what you're going to go out there and do everyday hard work with. You're not going to go gutting fish with it every day. You're not going to be, you know, hacking into wood and shit like that and cutting fiberglass straps off of big shipments and things like that. You know, that really you're going to reserve for maybe that $100 cold steel or zero tolerance or something like that. You can find really good high quality production knives that will be cool, that will be beautiful to you, that will give you the action that you desire. You just won't get, you know, the hand fitting. You won't get the greatest heat treat, so you won't get the longest edge retention. And a lot of people drop by my channel and they, you know, drop little comments here and there. Oh, I've never spent more than $50 on a knife. You'd have to be insane to spend $2,000, $2,500, $2,000 on a knife because it's not any better. Really? Well, here's an example, and I just got this 2 days ago, so I have not done a video on it yet. But you know what? Yeah, $2,500. Bought a flipper that has no flipper tab. And that, yes, is a manual knife, not an automatic. So yeah, you do get things for that amount of money that you don't get in any production knife. I mean, the ingenuity that goes into this is incredible. All of the handwork. This is a completely smooth surface from the carbon fiber to the titanium liners that are also jeweled. I don't know if we can quite see in there, but they are. Can do my adjustments right there for my detent strength and the amount of pressure on my lock. I mean, this is incredible. There's how you unlock it, just by simply twisting that bolster right there. These are the kind of things that you get into. This is a Stan Wilson, by the way. His name should be right in there. The Stan Wilson non-flipper flipper. This is the 5th one that he's made. And yes, I will be doing a video on this soon. I'm just not doing it right now because I'm working with Stan to get some more pictures of the internals so I can really properly describe to you how all that works. You get into my Frank Fisher battle. No external hardware except for the pivot. Now, I had the option of, not having a pivot either, but I really wanted to have this custom pivot. This was the first one he ever designed. And by the time he finally got around to making mine, this was the second one he installed, but mine was the basis for his custom pivots. But I mean, it's a completely screwless design where everything is done from the inside with that special keyhole system. And that's something he learned from Stan Wilson. The fit and finish on this is going to exceed anything else out there. I mean, it is flawless, even at well over $2,000 for this one because of the all the special things that was done to it. This still, I've yet to find its rival. Period. This is still my number one, hands down, favorite knife that I've ever owned, I've ever handled, I've ever borrowed, I've ever seen in a magazine. I mean, this is just, for me, it's the ultimate. And yeah, it's sharp as shit. It's got an incredible blade that's going to last a long time. I don't have anything to worry about. It has cut stuff. Nothing major. I will admit, that one is probably never going to see any hardcore major use. That's what stuff like this is for, my Ramble. It's already been resharpened by John once, and I've already stropped it once since I got it back. But again, still not cheap. When he makes his mid-tech version of this knife, you're probably going to be able to get it for under $500. And then, I'm sure as shit buy him one of those because now I've got one I can beat on even more, a little bit more guilt-free. I don't really severely abuse anything, but this is the kind of knife that I really don't have any fear with. I mean, yeah, it's got the beautiful green zircon and all that kind of neat stuff, and you really can't get a Graham at this point, but I don't care. This was probably the most useful blade I've ever seen in my life, so why not use it? So whether you're buying production knives or you're buying custom knives, it's all about how you enjoy it. It's not about impressing others. I've certainly owned my fair share of knives that I was just madly in love with, and other people went, I don't get it, that's ugly, or it's this, or it's that, or it's impractical, like something like the DOC. Oh, that's the most impractical blade I ever seen. Well, that's fine. I didn't buy this to impress you. I bought it because it was what I wanted, and it satisfied every need and every want and desire that I had when I got it. So that's what it's all about, man. It's hard these days. When you're on, YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and knife forums, and, you're not just keeping up with the Joneses, you're not keeping up with the neighbors and your close circle of friends. You're watching hundreds, maybe thousands of guys posting pictures of knives every single day. And it's hard not to want just about everything, isn't it? And we fall into a little bit of a trap there, going, well, I need to have that, I want this, I want that. It's not because somebody else has it or you want to be as cool as them. It's because maybe they've exposed you to something that you've never seen before. And you went, oh my God, I didn't even know that existed. Well, shit, I need to have me one of those. I've never had something like that. And it's so easy to justify it to ourselves, whether it's good or bad. And when you're buying production knives, for the most part, I mean, there are expensive production knives, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, it's a little easier to get a handle on when you're buying a $50, $75, $100, maybe $200 production knife. It's not going to totally kill you if you bought 15 knives this year. When you're buying into mid-techs that are going to cost you $400 to $800, well, that's going to start hurting a hell of a lot more. When you start buying full-blown customs anywhere from $400 to, I mean, sky's the limit, really, $30,000, $50,000, but practically $400 to say $1,500 to $2,000, then it hurts more. So don't fall into that trap. It's so difficult to watch your buddies get all of these cool, kick-ass knives and not be able to buy every single thing that you want. And no matter how many you buy, if you hit, I'm not going to say the lotto, but you hit, I don't know, like the mega money tomorrow and you got, $100,000. and you spent all $100,000 on custom knives, I can guarantee you that before the final knife arrived in your fucking mailbox, you'd see something else and want that. And look at it and go, shit, I don't have any money left. Well, what can I sell, or what can I trade, or what can I do to get my hands on that? So it's really a sickness that for many people will never end. And I've seen a couple guys come and go this past year, dropping out of the knife collecting hobby. I actually watched one drop out and fall right back into it, like 6 months later. It's hard to get a handle on. But I think that's what custom knives do to us, because with production knives, for the most part, what you see today, you'll probably be able to get in a year. If you pass by it today and don't buy it, there's a very good chance that that zero tolerance is going to be available this time next year, and you'll be able to buy that. So you could save up a little bit, or you could take care of a few other things, put it to the side for a while, and then come back to it. When you get something like this, like when I bought my Tarsus, this was somebody that came to me, presented it to me, and said, hey, I'm looking at selling this. I know that you love Southerns. That was a do or die moment. If I didn't act on that immediately, he was going to sell it to somebody else. So that's the other hard thing that you deal with when you move up out of production knives. I got to tell you, I missed the exhilaration. I mean, there was a true exhilaration when I would buy a new knife. I still remember buying my first Benchmade. It was I don't remember what model it was. I just remember it was a red aluminum handle with grooves in it, and it was a side opening automatic. It was, I think, the first time they had done it that year. This was in the mid 90s, early 90s. Loved that friggin' thing. That was the most I'd ever spent on a knife. That was like $189 or some shit. And I just thought I was the shit because I had that. And you know what? All my friends did too. They're like, dude, that is so friggin' crazy, man. And now if it were handed to me, I'd go, oh, it's a nice knife. And I really wouldn't think twice about it. And it's not because it's not a nice knife. It's because I've now gotten accustomed to different styles of knives. Like I know now that I prefer flippers. As you can see, most of the knives here are flippers. And I really prefer hand work. I prefer more exotic steels and more exotic materials. You know, I love Mokutai and Timascus and, you know, mother of pearl and superconductor and these really cool things that set it apart and allow it to be a little bit unique. I remember the very first production Emerson I got. Oh shit, I still remember getting a Kershaw Blur when the Blur first came out. Oh my God, that was a long time ago. I mean, I loved that thing. Spring assisted opener. Oh, what is this? What kind of black magic is this? I thought to my naive self. It was fun. I carried that thing every day. You know, I had my Cold Steel Large Voyager. I loved that thing too. That was a lot of fun to carry also. But as we progress to each different level, I gotta wonder how many people can really look back and still appreciate the level that they've left. I mean, maybe you're on the level of buying like Michael Walker's and Ron Best and things like that, and you're buying investment grade folders, and you're looking at my collection going, the cost of all that together is the cost of one of my knives. What do you see in those? Man, it must be cool to be at that level, and I hope someday to be at that level myself. And it makes me wonder, if I got to that level, would I then not feel an appreciation for a knife on this level? And there are multiple levels here, but I have to wonder that. And are you going to ruin it for yourself? When you get to a certain level, now you've got a very finite amount of options available to you. Are you going to enjoy it as much? Because I got to tell you, for me, there is no greater feeling than a package that's on the way and seeing that out for delivery on the tracking. I get giddy like a small child and go, oh my God, my new knife is coming, my new knife is coming, it's almost here, it's almost here. And when you're buying at that other level, that really crazy investment grade level, can you really afford to buy with the same frequency that we do with these? I don't know. Perhaps, perhaps not. And I don't know if I would just miss that too much. And I gotta wonder if even at this point, if I've kind of ruined myself just a little bit. But then I'm redeemed somewhat when I pick this one up. And I put it in my pocket and I forego all of the knives here and all the rest of the knives in my case. And I smile when I pull this out of my pocket and I flip it over and over and over, just playing with it over and over. And I go, damn, this was such an amazing knife. And I would have liked it just as much in its stock form. I just wanted to make it a little bit different. But even in its stock form, didn't change the action at all, didn't change the lockup, didn't change the detent, didn't change the way that it opened or the smoothness in which it closes. This is just a damn fine knife. So I got to wonder what that next level is going to be like and what it's going to do to me mentally. Ah. So where are you at? Are you still just buying production knives and you don't really want to make that step up or can't make that step up? Have you just made that step up and you're starting to feel some of that stuff? Have you graduated further and further and further into hand-built customs? Are you going even crazier into investment grade customs? I'd love to hear from everybody and see where you're at, and stop for a minute and think. The knives that you have now versus the knives you bought, let's say 5 years ago, and then take it further to 10 years ago. Would you appreciate that knife from 5 or 10 years ago the same way today that you did back then? I think that's a good question. So I'm going to leave it there at that. I didn't intend for this to be a one-topic video, but what the hell. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it off here for now because my camera is about to cut me off. I will see you on the next video.